Today's guest has led the Knights to the state tournament over and over again. Joining me now, it's Kara Nunziato, head coach of Our Redeemers Volleyball. Let's start right there. How'd you end up being in that spot for the Knights, Kara?
Obviously I graduated from Our Redeemers, and I went away for 2 years to play volleyball at Minot State College, and I'm pretty sure I was just got finished at Williston State, moved back to Minot. I was picking, I think, my brother up from school, and I ran into Sherry Carlson, and she said, "Hey, are you back in Minot?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And she's like, "I'm going to get a hold of you." So she ended up giving me a call and asking me to be her assistant coach. So I was really fortunate to be under her wing the first few years of coaching, and she's been a great mentor ever since.
What did you really take from her a lot? And then on the other side of things, what have been like your new ideas from coaching that you come up with yourself?
Yeah, I guess the one thing that she always said is to always be a learner of the game. And she would go to countless different conferences on volley to learn about the sport. And she read a lot of books. And she said that if you quit learning the game, then you need to quit coaching. So I guess that's one thing I've really tried to do is stay up on the knowledge of the game. It's changed a lot in the last 10 years, and I think that's really evident, especially when you watch Class B and Class A in our state. I think one thing that we've done differently as a coaching staff in comparison to when Carlson was head coach is we make an effort to bring the team or the program to camps in the surrounding area, and we've been fortunate to be able to attend some Big Ten volleyball camps, and I think that that's really pushed us in the direction that we've wanted to go.
You mentioned how over like 10 years or so, things have changed in Class B volleyball. What do you see that's really changed in that regard, outside of just what you guys have been doing?
I just think the game is a lot faster. I think that athletes are playing the sport at a younger age in a lot of schools, and that just makes, the high school programs a little bit more fundamentally sound. I think the game in general, if you were to watch game tape from 10 years ago to game tape now, you would just see a lot of changes even in how teams set up defensively and offensively, and how that the more that we've learned about the game as coaches, the more the game has advanced.
Did you really expect to have a run like you guys have been having when you first started coaching here? I mean, I know you were an assistant there, but you had to be maybe a little eyes wide open, like getting the head coaching job, and now you guys have had a lot of success.
I guess it kind of goes back to my experiences as a player. We made it to state once, and then there was a dry spell until I believe it was 2012. So no, I did not anticipate that we would be the team to go to state in the last six years. It's definitely something that we're grateful for and we don't take for granted. But at the same time, we've had some really phenomenal athletes who've enjoyed the game, have been a dream to coach, and have put in a lot of time and effort to be that competitive, to go back the back-to-back years.
Mm-hmm. And, on my trip home recently, Kara, I got a chance to, over my layovers and my flights, to rewatch The Last Dance. And, Phil Jackson has to come back to this team that's awesome year after year, knowing, like, hey, we just won the title a bunch of times, but now I'm going to say this. From your position at Our Redeemers after winning the region championship over and over again, what do you say to these teams on day one as you get back after it?
It just comes down to it's a new team, and it's usually a new team with the same dream kind of concept. And I just try to remind them that we need to use the entire season to grow, to become the best team that we can be. And we just start back from square one. What's our goal? How much time and effort do you guys want to put in? And we go from there. Like I said, it comes down to having a really good volleyball community. My parents the parents that I work with are a dream to work with, and the players are extremely respectful and coachable, that it's just motivating as a head coach to come in and get down to work and enjoy the game of volleyball, because at the end of the day, it's a game, and you only have one high school experience, and we want it to be the best high school experience possible, not just with wins or losses, but with the relationships that you make and the time on the court enjoying the game.
How much does it land on the players themselves and then maybe the coaching staff to make sure that kids don't get complacent after winning so many times?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to showing them how much they have to know. And I think if you teach them new things about the game and you bring in fresh drills and fresh ideas, that's motivating. I think that just also wanting to push the bar to the next level is important. As far as coaching goes, I think that you got to constantly review what you're doing and look at ways to make practice challenging and fun. So it's kind of, if they come ready to work, I'm ready to work too, and vice versa. If I am ready to work, they're usually ready to follow my lead as well.
Our Redeemers and everybody else in Class B will tend to have a smaller numbers count. That's just the way it is. So how have you guys separated when everybody only has a handful of players to choose from?
Well, I think it's great. You get what you get, and you go to work with it, and you get to know the athletes really well as people, and it's just a game. It's just a sport. It's not rocket science. You come in and you work drills and skills, and I think that there's a lot to be said about having small numbers and getting lots of reps in. I don't know how bigger programs can manage the number of reps needed in order to be competitive and where they want to be by the end of the season.
Okay, but every team's going to have their varsity roster of only 10 or 12 girls. So why does our Redeemers 10 or 12 girls keep accomplishing things like this in this region when everybody's on the level playing field in that respect?
I don't know. I think it comes with reps in the gym and being receptive to coaching feedback and being a learner of the game. I know I say that over and over again, but the time in our off season has been valuable in terms of learning from college coaches. I will never, ever admit to knowing everything about the sport. The more I coach, the more I feel like I need to learn, and I think the girls are really receptive to that approach. So if they're receptive to learning the game, they're going to be able to execute consistently on game days.
So you have hammered home the point of how big these off-season camps have been for you guys. What do coaches learn from these off-season camps? I mean, everybody thinks about the players. Boy, it's awesome for them to get the college instruction. But how about you guys on the sidelines? What do you take away from going to these things?
Well, usually these head coaches, that's their full-time job. So they're researching the game and putting a lot more time into learning about the game than I am, to be honest. So when you go to these camps and you have the opportunity to ask college coaches questions, they give you information that you can bring home and continue to practice in your home gym.
All right. So any kind of memories stick out to you when it comes to going to these camps and tournaments, whether it's just the team bonding or the most notable people you guys have learned from?
I think that anytime I am in the car and certain radio songs come on from the past, it automatically just relates to the group of athletes we've taken in different places. And it's really fun to hear athletes be like, oh my gosh, this song reminds me of when we went to blah, 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 because I have the same experiences. There are so many stories that to call some out off the top of my head is really challenging. But it's always a great experience. I love these kids to pieces. I love to see how they grow their skills throughout the season, and I love to see what they accomplish when their season's over and they go out into the real world and go to college, get married, have kids. It's really fun to just be a part of their lives for a short time period while they're high schoolers, but to see how far they go afterwards too. So to pinpoint exact memories from trips, there's countless. I've got a photo book from each camp we've ever gone on, and it's just a blast. It's time to have fun. I mean, that's what it's all about, is you play well when you have fun, and you got to enjoy who you play with. So keeping teams unified, motivated, ready to learn, and ready to work, that's just kind of the key ingredient to making a successful season.
Yeah, because those kind of memories happen whether it's the off-season camp or if you go to an in-season tournament or even like the big state tournaments, right? It kind of all blends together. And even if you guys are going to a more high-pressure situation, that always just kind of happens and you just keep it loose and fun, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So when you're talking about getting the girls working out, what kind of regimens are necessary for building the physical volleyball skill set that you're looking for, whether it's someone that plays up front or somebody that digs out spikes or whatever else you need?
Like, are you talking conditioning or drills?
Yeah. Conditioning, drills, weightlifting type things.
Yeah, we've always brought in Trinity Sports Medicine. They do a lot with our athletes in the summer. In terms of during the season, I think that the head coach out at the University of Minnesota said it best. If you want your kids to be good at running, you make them run. If you want them to be good at volleyball, you play the game of volleyball. So it's just a balance of making sure that the drills that you're bringing into your gym are going to translate to what you want to see on the court. I'm really lucky to have awesome assistant coaches. Courtney Karkoff just got married this summer. She's been really great at bringing in new conditioning like drills that don't take a lot of time away from the game, but also help build up that cardiovascular stamina for what we need in long 5-set matches.
Kara, you seem really nice. Do you ever really yell at these girls hard?
I mean, I don't know. I think that there's sometimes you bring out like a teacher voice or a coach voice, but I guess I've always thought that athletes have normal hearing acuity, so me yelling at them isn't going to help them. Usually they know if they're not playing well, it doesn't feel good. They don't need me harping on them. So usually it's just about regrouping and speaking confidence back into them. And I'm sure I sound like a broken record in all of my timeouts and all of my interviews, but I mean, you do what you do in practice and then you game it up on game days. That's kind of what you got to do and where you got to go.
All right, so who have you had the real privilege of coaching? Talk about like some of the best players that you've had.
Oh man, I love them all. I mean, they're all standouts in my mind. When you think about the class that I spent the most time with, well, even just the first group, I didn't have any seniors my first year of coaching. So the juniors that came in, they were just really great. I mean, losing Sherry Carlson as a head coach was really tough. And they were so awesome at respecting what we as coaches wanted to do next and really receptive of our lineups. And they set the tone for the next group that came in. The next group would have been the graduating class of 2017. So Morgan Olson, she was, by her senior year, outstanding senior athlete at the state level, and it was really fun to coach her, although I will say, she was solid. You didn't have to give Morgan much coaching feedback. She just had a very natural ability to do what needed to be done. We had Lauren Hendrickson in the back row, who was a very consistent defensive player for us. If you think about outsides, it's Riley Poppinga, Calissa Ree, Carolyn Winger stepped up in her senior year and was almost a secret weapon for us. Michaela Gartner, Abby Coppinger, they were a huge block and influential in terms of right sides and middles. Cara Steed, who left our program early and moved away. She was a huge part of our team and what we accomplished back in 2016. This last few years, Tessa Olson just was such a defensive rock for our team that really allowed for Annie Folden to shine in her hitting role, and Tay Boeckel, who came to follow Tessa. It's just they've constantly followed each other and set the bar. They've built. Every year we've graduated key players, and we've filled those shoes because those who were younger were ready to step up and be in big leadership positions. And this year the senior class is really fun, and I've got Eden Olson, who's been leading our offense as our 5-1 setter, and before that was after Morgan, Carly Zablotny. I could talk about them all. They've just been. Every single one that has stepped onto that court, whether they're a main player on the floor to a reserve on the bench, they've all had a very special role on this team, on the teams that we've had, and they've left a legacy, not a ghost in the gym. So we just want to keep playing our redeemer volleyball and keep the culture alive in our gym.
What about a couple of those last two that you mentioned, Folden and Tea Boeckel going to Minot State? What do you think they're going to be capable of there?
It's just a new program, and I'm excited to see how their college experience plays out. It's very different for every player. I know that they, made a huge impact on the teams that they played on for us at our Redeemers, and I think it's an awesome opportunity to keep them close to home so we can, catch some of the action as they continue their volleyball career.
Your focus, Kara, when you come into a season is getting the Knights ready to compete. But since Annie and Tay have announced going to Minot State, have you spoken with them at all about, this is what it was like when I was in Williston playing college volleyball?
No, that was so long ago. The game has changed a lot.
Okay.
I'm not going to be talking about no. I did mention to them, though, I guess more from the mental standpoint, and I would encourage any athlete, when you leave your high school program, especially in Class B, usually you've been playing for a set number of years, and when you make that jump to that next level, it's a new team with new personalities, and the head coach's job is to recruit players that are as good, if not better, than you. So it just becomes mental toughness is totally needed for moments where you might not be playing your best and someone else steps on the court. At the college level, it's all about the team success, not necessarily individual gain, and that's kind of a huge thing for all teams. But when you get to college, it's a little more humbling at times, if that makes sense. So just maintaining confident and working hard and not letting your mind take you out of the game, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So every year is a new team, whether you're winning one region championship or breaking through, and everybody else trying to break up this dynasty you have. So tell me about just the 2020 season that you guys have already underway. What have you liked so far about it, and what have fans been able to see so far that gives you confidence that you could be there at the end?
Yeah, so it's actually been one of the more challenging starts to a season. I know that, COVID has made scheduling interesting, but right now we have our two main outsides, Macy Lindquist and Cheyenne, laying out with injuries. So that's just been two extra shoes or roles that we weren't expecting to fill. But, we've made some adjustments, and we've come in ready to defense, and Eden has been doing a phenomenal job mixing up the offense to allow our hitters the opportunity to grow. And I guess with 2020 underway, we have to stay focused on each practice and each game and not be overwhelmed with a six-peat history. We just need to play the game and not let, variables that don't matter impact how far we can go, if that makes sense.
All right, Kara, really appreciating the perspective here today and wishing you luck in that six-peat and for you guys to get that top prize maybe as soon as this season. Thanks a lot.
Hey, yeah, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.